Do you know what Waterborne is? It's where you can get news about the Jamaican culture and just learn about how Jamaicans are doing as a yard and abroad.
Salut tout le monde, ici Kaya La Flamme. T'aimes le reggae en français, en anglais, qui vient du Canada, du Québec et de la Jamaïque? Écoute Gwaan.
So rope in and come check out the thing now. It's Gwaan.
I live in the UK and I enjoy tuning in to Gwaan.
I am a big fan of Gwaan. I'm always looking forward for the great vibes, the great things. They discuss a lot of things that are going on in Calgary, across Canada, and of course Jamaica. So
this is what is going on in Jamaica. But check out Gwaan
every Friday at 7 p.m. Calgary time.
You get to learn a new Jamaican patois word or even a Jamaican phrase.
I look forward to the patois word of the day, feeding my nostalgic mood with flavor and spice. Only Jamaicans can do.
Watch Gwaan.
It happens every Friday at 7 p.m. So check them out. And bye from Toronto.
Watch Gwaan.
Yo, this is Keisha.
Watch Gwaan.
Relevant and entertaining, so keep up the good work.
Watch Gwaan.
tune in, share, listen to Gwaan.
Big up yourself. Gwaan 2022. Bless up.
Gwaan. Yes, Gwaan.
Watch Gwaan.
Always you're going to know what Gwaan in a yard. Check it out. 7 p.m. every Friday.
I just love our introduction. Gwaan. Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Shelly Morgan, and I am so grateful you joined us on this blessed Friday. I hope you had a productive week and that you took some time to be grateful for all the blessings and good things in your life this week. I had a very interesting week. I made a conscious effort this week to be grateful just to be alive. And each time I did that, I felt even more energized. On Tuesday, to be specific, I decided I would just smile. I would just be this silly girl and I would just smile. I smiled on the bus, I smiled on the metro to work, I smiled with all my colleagues. And I realized I attracted so much more positivity. But Shelly, you may ask, how does this contribute to healthy aging and happy aging, since I am your aging researcher and educator? When we're grateful, as older adults who are grateful, they experience better physical health, in part because they participate in healthy activities and are more willing to seek help for health concerns, according to the Personality and Individual Difference study. Now, gratitude also helps people to sleep better and longer. And again, this was reported by the Journal of Psychosomatic Research Studies. So all of these research are showing us that grateful people are less likely to have negative and worrying thoughts before sleep, which tend to impair sleep. So gratitude helps protect people from stress and depression as well. And it fosters social support. So practicing gratitude daily, every day, just giving thanks for my eyes, giving thanks for my health, giving thanks for my mother, giving thanks for the health of my parents, my husband, my family, my friends, is associated, believe it or not, with lower blood pressure, lower bad cholesterol, higher good cholesterol, improved immune function, and we've all been through this COVID era, right? And this is all backed by science. This was research coming out of the University of California. Yeah. So gratitude is what we are all about today. So I am so grateful you joined us for yet another fantastic episode of Gwaan. We have another invigorating discussion lined up to share with you today. We're talking about Jamaican politics versus Canadian politics with our guests, Christopher French and Yvette Blackburn. It is going to be fantastic. But first, our favorite time of the day, our patois word of the day is Trickify. Trickify. So we invite you to write the definition in the comments. We welcome all your questions and comments in the chat. Let's keep the conversation going. Use it in a sentence. Trickify. What that mean to you? Trickify. So if you were with us last week, we invited Vincent Vaughn and Rocky Montague to talk with us about Jamaican festival songs. Unfortunately, Rocky couldn't make the show this time. However, we had a fantastic time talking with Vincent about some of his favorite festival tunes, the history behind the songs, and their cultural significance. It was wonderful. I was singing in my head. It was just fantastic. We had a fun time going down memory lane. Not you? Now, thank you so much, Vincent Vaughn, for sharing your insights with us and your passion and love for Jamaican music, and specifically last week, Jamaican festival songs. So we love it when you engage with us. Send us your feedback, comments. If you missed the show, please check out the replay on Gwaan YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Find our links on our website, watagwan.ca. Come on, engage with us. We love to hear from you. Now, Watagwan across Canada. Looking for the events nearest you? This is what we have for you this week. In Montreal, the Jamaica Association of Montreal is celebrating Jamaica Day on August 20th at Ken Park, Martin Luther King Park, located at 3220 Avenue Appleton from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join them for a celebration of Jamaican culture, music, dance, food, language, and so much more. Contact the Jamaican Association at 514-737-8229 or email them at jamaicadaycelebration@gmail.com. In Toronto, Sinting Fest is happening on August 26th to August 28th. Come out and show some love for Toronto's little Jamaican neighborhood to support their revitalization efforts. Live entertainment, vendors, fashion parade, dance, and lots more of delicious happening and delicious food. Sinting Fest. In Calgary, Uganisha Professional Network Mixer, UPNM, is an event that fosters and facilitates collaboration between industry professionals, academic institutions, and other professional bodies. This mixer is taking place as part of the Uzimi Africa Cultural Festival on Saturday, August 27, located at 144th Avenue Southwest from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Contact the Uzimi African website for more information on the mixer and other related events. In Winnipeg, the Afro-Caribbean Association of Manitoba is hosting their annual Family Day picnic and nature park, taking place at Vital Park on August 20th, starting at 12 p.m. Bring your friends, families, food, cheers, and your bug spray. Come join them for a day of fun. For more information, contact the association at afro_car@msn.com or telephone them at 204-667-6919 or visit their website at afrocaribbean.org. There's lots to do. And now, spot that place. Now, this is where we share pictures of places in Jamaica and Canada. We need you to tell us where this is, the specific location. And the clues for today is this building is located in the heart of Toronto. Toronto. Great view overlooking the downtown core on a clear day. You can even see Niagara Falls. Standing at 1,815 feet, it is the tallest freestanding structure in the Western Hemisphere. There's a glass floor you can walk on to see all the way down to street level. Can you spot the place? Add it to the comments, and we'll tell you at the end of the show if you're right or you're wrong. And now it is time to reason with my brethren, who I'm very grateful to call a friend and to work with, our esteemed host, Mr. Donovan.
Go on, Jelly.
Very grateful to see you, my friend.
Yeah, me too. And I'm grateful for the introduction. You know, when I get introduced as esteemed and friend, you know, it not sound Trickify.
All right, so like you know a Jamaican patois.
Not sound Trickify at all. Some good ideas there, by the way. I love the learning that you're sharing about, you know, aging, because some of us, well, all of us, you know, are going through the process, whether we acknowledge it or not, but getting these tips, you know.
And for me, it's a blessing. And I think that as a researcher and an educator, I have the luxury of studying something, because a lot of us are so busy living that it's only when we buck up in the adult body that we go, oh, I don't recognize myself, but it has always been you.
Yeah.
And so if we can educate people and gently bring them into the scope that aging is a blessing, but there are changes that occur and there are more works to be done as you age. But let me stop preach, because I'm just grateful to be here.
Well, we're grateful to have you. And today we're going to continue the reasoning. It's Jamaica 60, and we're going to continue some reasoning about things Jamaican. And today we're going to discuss some politics. So I'm going to do some reasoning, and then I come back and talk to you a little more.
All
right. Greetings, folks. Greetings. Welcome to Time to Reason here on Gwaan. My name is Donovan, and it's a pleasure having you with us. Today, we're going to talk about Jamaican versus Canadian politics. And we had some have some outstanding guests to join us already with us, and I'm hoping that the other person joins us is Yvette Blackburn out of Toronto. Yvette, talk about veteran. You know, has been in Canada for a long time, and has been involved in provincial politics. She was a candidate for the NDP in the Windsor West riding back in 2003, and also in the Scarborough Agincourt riding as well in 2007. But she's done so much. In fact, I want to big up Yvette. Yvette was recognized as part of the Jamaica 60 celebrations by the Consulate General in Toronto as one of the Toronto game changers in education. 35 people were recognized, and Yvette was one of them, so we have to big her up. She's also one of the elected Canadian reps on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. And trust me, if I were to list all of the councils and committees and stuff that Yvette has been on, we wouldn't done. Trust me. Maybe one of the things that I want to big up Yvette for is a big sports fan. One of the raving Jamaican sports fan that keep you posted as to what is happening. Our other guest who's running a little bit late, and hopefully he can jump on, is Christopher French. He's the divisional chairman for the PNP in Alexandria, St. Anne, Jamaica. But he's also spent some time in Canada, where he was a part of what he calls the political fraternal with Davinder Shuri here in Calgary, in the Skyview riding. And he was also, at one point, the public relations officer for the Jamaican Canadian Association Alberta, but is a passionate Jamaican like Yvette. And I tell you, I really want to get the two of them on. But Yvette is here, so I'm going to bring her in and we can start some reasoning. Yvette.
Good evening, and thank you for the kind words. I greatly appreciate it. And you know what? Politics alone is trickified, right? So I'm going to go on with it.
Well, I mean, there's a bit of everything in it. We're going to dig into it a little bit. But like I said, I have to big you up because, you know, when you get recognized by the community for what you have done and deserving, come see all of the comments that followed on Facebook. And I know a long time I try to get upon what I go on to. So, you know, big up for the work that you have done in the community over many, many years.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
All right, listen,
everyone.
Chris is running a little late and he's going to hopefully join us. But we're going to start the conversation. As Jamaica celebrates 60 years of political independence, I think it's an opportune time to review the political landscape, and we wanted to do a little bit of a comparison because you've gotten out in public life, you've offered yourself to serve. And maybe one of the things I'd love to get your take on as we start the conversation is some of the distinctive features. You know, when you look at the Canadian political landscape, what are some of the things that you'd say here's a distinctive feature of the political landscape here?
So there's the varied levels, right? So unlike Jamaica, we have the 3 tiers of government for running. So when you look at it, when MPs run, there isn't the provincial component, right? When you think about it, it goes either municipal to federal. There isn't that middle ground or middle tier that we really look at. Also the financing of the various political parties, how they are set up and the drive. But the things are more nuanced, right? Because when you think about what is the real charge and carriage of what the different political parties are seeking, it is about working for their different community or constituents that they in Jamaica will continue to call more so than what we do. But it's kind of still aligned, right? We both are still tied to a monarchy in the sense of figureheads, where they have the governor general, we have the governor general, and we have the lieutenant governor. So there are still the attachments in the sense of having the British component of how we are governed in the way we look at it, even though we talk about being independent and sovereign per se, but we have bits of the attachment. It's just a matter of looking at the sense of the different, you know, in Canada where we're at, we'll call them write-ins, you know, and Jamaica will give it a different format with regards to what's called, but it's still dealing with the everyday aspects of the needs of the community and the structural frameworks of the country, right? So the lead-in party, of course, is going to put into place all aspects when it comes to international relations. You're dealing with the economic structure, you know, money being printed, all of that from that framework to the local municipal of what we have here, whether in the provinces or the territories or looking at from the federal level. Yeah. So it's just that aspect of the differences per se, and then of course the finances and economics of what's utilized.
We'll soon come to the finances and the economics a little bit. One of the things maybe I'd like to get your take on is the culture of it and how our people, especially people who have moved from Jamaica here, see and participate in the process.
You know, we're an active group. If you think, well, Toronto has the largest diaspora of Jamaicans, right? That make up, let's just say let's say Ontario as a whole is where the bulk of the individuals are. And because of the migration component of Pierre Elliott Trudeau, you know, the Liberals per se still have the hold on the Jamaicans or most of the Caribbeans individuals that have migrated to this lovely country. But we're starting to see a swing. A little bit of a swing is taking place where you're seeing more Black people even gravitate a little bit more to the conservative side, which you rarely would ever have seen us represented. But now we have 3 members who were just elected in the last round of the federal elections. And NDP, of course, have always had a little bit of a burgeoning numbers that were going there because of the social components of it. But we actively participate. If you look at the majority of individuals who have ran as candidates, they've been Jamaican or they have Jamaican heritage or parentage, whichever the case scenario you want to use.
Right.
So we've always been in the middle of things, right? Like where we come from a political country where it is just ingrained in you. You take on a position. You're either a JLP or PMP from when you're young, from watching your parents. So it's a natural thing to know that politics and your vote and your voice is a very key thing, because that is where the governance of your country, the policies, the laws that affect you are clearly going to impact your life to a certain level. So here in Canada, we're active. We are an active group. You will see politicians come into our community. So you see Trudeau in our community, right? Everyone from, I think the only one that missed out was Paliev, and I think I need to recheck to see where his stops were, but they're in our community, right? Doug Ford, you look at Tory, you know, and I'm being very Toronto centric with that. But they're around. Like, they make sure that they come to everything that we have to listen to our issues and our concerns, because it's still a large voting block. If we were to turn our nose to just one direction, we could potentially swing the seats of a political party. If you think about looking at the GTA, right? Toronto, go to Montreal to some extent, some of the groups that are building up in Ottawa, we go over to Calgary, you know, so you get to the pockets, the niche pockets, we can possibly be and make impact. So our voices, our concerns are important. We actively participate. We can do more because we have split a bit, right, with regards to what's going on. And again, that word is very fitting today, because a lot of people really do believe that the politicians are trickified, right, that they lie and that they're just making things up. They just say what they have to say. They have not walked their talk. We see our community still sitting behind the 8 ball with a lot of the issues and concerns. They're very performative in what they do. So there's a lot to it, but as a voting bloc, we're very strong. As a voice that's in very, you know, powerful positions, executive positions, ministry positions, ADM positions, chiefs of police. So we do sit at a stage in which we can be very influential.
All right, I'm trying to get my friend Chris French. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, hey, Sir Donovan.
How are you doing, brethren?
I am here. Trust me. Let me just get back to the.
All right, Chris is a real Jamaican politician. Chris says he's been up since 4 a.m. I suppose, running around and doing stuff in the community. Since we talk a little bit about the presence of the Jamaicans in the system, Yvette. When we talk about distinction, right, in Jamaica, it's very bipolar, and that's the way I look at it, right? It's either A or B, you know, green or orange. Do you think there's that level of polarity here in Canadian politics, similar to what we see in Jamaica?
Well, yes, like what I just said, right? So a lot of people are diehard red. They're everything they have is liberal, right? So it doesn't matter how bad Justin Trudeau is with all of his controversies and, you know, missteps and everything, you know, and Papa was a great man, I him bring me here, so, you know, I say we're liberal, right? So that's what you'll hear as that rally call to go behind the Liberal Party, whereas it's like we need to look at what is the Liberal Party doing for us and how much have they taken us for granted. And then to the point, you know, my slant was orange. Orange is where I leaned on the NDP side, but since Andrew Horvath taken over and we're talking provincially, you know, I was not a big fan of support, and I did support Jagmeet Singh until this last round of what's been happening, where it's like, no, you don't speak for me either. I can't support that. But that's where we're going. So to the aspect, our people are red. Liberal is the swan song that are continually getting sung no matter if you're leaving in or coming back in. And then now you do have a few people who are going blue. The orange is still there, and some individuals are supporting the green, right? Even with the controversy that's happening there, but you know, with Anne-Marie Paul, but it's a matter of we sit red. Liberal is the party of choice for the Jamaicans, right? It's not a color that looks good on us, but
in Ontario.
Exactly. But even it's not just Ontario. When you
blue, right?
Right. We have the pockets that are out west, but even then, but you just look at the numbers as a whole, we still swing towards the Liberals.
Hey, Chris,
you good now?
Yeah. Good evening.
All right, Chris.
We're good now.
Yeah, real Jamaican politician. You're up from 4 a.m. What you You had a roadblock?
No. Like I said, I had a very, very late night into this morning, and I had to go back out today again, and just running in and trying to get everything together. And everybody's reminding me about funeral here, grave digging here, and all that, and the life of a Jamaican politician.
All right. So welcome to the show. And, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. And maybe where you can help us with, because you have had a chance of seeing both sides of the equation. What are some of the distinctions for you between Canadian and Jamaican politics?
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for really reaching out and being here. The first difference, the first significant difference is, I'd say Jamaican politics is, for want of a better word, hostile. Yeah. If you're not say labor right, and if you're not say PNP, for those that, supporting the PNP and for those that support, so and people, we tend to curse each other if we're die-hearted. Like I was just hearing Miss Yvette, right?
Yeah.
Yes. As I was saying, say right. The distinction, it goes very deep for me, because I've had the opportunity of being there in Calgary and loving the Conservatives, yes, and getting to understand some things about politics there. And one thing that I took from that was the politics of Canada is kind of a policy-driven politics, right? So we talk what we're going to do, and we kind of get those who we're supposed to be getting involved. And then it's different in Jamaica. We make a lot of promises because people like to hear what you're going to do. And sometimes it's crazy because, I go on the road and some of my elders will say, if you're not promise the people, then they're not going to support you. And I kind of find that, having the experience of being in Canada, I kind of find that, not being so honest. So when you go out there as a politician and as you're supposed to be honest, you don't get a lot of support and and So the difference is kind of different. People just go for the very few people in every single constituency and division will kind of embrace the foreign type of politics. But majority, yeah. If you're not a PMP, if you're not a labor right, if you're not promised the uptown and downtown parade, you're not a politician. Yeah.
But Yvette, in response to what Chris is saying, though, aren't there lots of promises that are made maybe a little bit more sophisticated in some of it that we all look at here in Canada? For those of us who get into, dissecting what the three main parties, no disrespect to the Green Party, are saying, and smile at some of them because you're saying, by talk about Trickify, none of this don't make no sense, and we know it ain't going nowhere. Isn't that a reality that we all live?
Very much so, and that's the aspect of politics, right? You come up with policies that are geared to speak to the needs of the particular groups that you're speaking of, but yet the implementation is unable to be fully fulfilled, right? Because either one, you don't have the finances; two, there's no way possible that it can be implemented, or you need to get all bodies to be aligned, and you know very well they're not all going to align and vote for whatever laws you're trying to put forward. So it very much is a more, let's say, high, what's the word I really want? So it's more high stakes in the way in which it is. That's like somebody using an expansive vocabulary rather than just being street and telling you how things are. But the Jamaican politicians are very nuanced also. They're very highly educated individuals for the most part from abroad. They have learned the international way of politics. So they come home, spew the same type of language and speakease and that to make it seem as if they're going to work for the people. But to what Christopher's saying, uptown, downtown people have a different type of cast of needs that are going to be stated, yet you know very well it hasn't been done. Infrastructure, roads, all of these things, sewer, water, light. Why is Jamaica not fully, embraced everything and still at the third row where it should be? We're one of the first countries that had telecommunications, first countries that had rail, yet we're still trying to figure out how we're having water. So yes, Canada has the more elaborate frameworks of being able to push policies and procedures. But for the most part, citizens are not doing their deconstruction to really look and see how much of that so-called economic budget is able to really get into the real neighborhoods and high priority neighborhoods that require it. Why is our educational system not fully funded appropriately? Why is there still the private and public sector issues? Why are we still dealing with the shortage of healthcare, in particular, again, in the Black and racialized communities? You don't have a hospital that's really close by, and if so, it doesn't have some of the key needs that you need for like diabetes or stroke, hypertension, those key things that affect our communities. So it's just a different way of looking at it per se, but it's still the game playing that happens, and you really have to spend the time to hold people's foot to the fire.
All right, I soon come on to an issue called corruption, but Chris, are there some things that you would take from Jamaica and bring to Canada and vice versa?
Definitely.
So talk to me about some of those in terms of the political thing. And I'll tell you something. I saw somebody post the other day who said, boy, them love the energy of Jamaican politics. The pat cover and the knives and the passion. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. We and let me here's not to say that we are in our conference season. So between the months of March to June, we are having our divisional conferences. And MPMP. So what the leader of the opposition, Margot, is doing, he has been going up to right across to every divisional conference. That is not normal. Even leaders before him, said, "Trust, man, you are outdoing every single one of us because you're around." And these conferences now starting to take some different look. Like we went to one in Kingston, and it had a catwalk. Yes, you when you're called, you walk out, and so the whole thing is kind of different. So we kind of put more energy into it. And I think for those that we want to support, we are saying to them here, or we understand, representing you, and making the thing look good. Yeah. So for what I would take from Calgary is the organizational part of it. I will look into, in Jamaica we call it PD, it's a polling division. So in a constituency you will have 101 PDs, and it breaks down into divisions for us. So you go out, typical politician goes out and say, hey, I'm gonna win. And he goes around to the community, walks around, talk and shares what he's gonna do, and expects that the campaign team is gonna do it for him. But what I brought from Canada is you need to do door knocking. And when you do door knocking, you need to get names and numbers. You need to get people saying to you, hey, I'm gonna vote, I'm not gonna vote, or I'll think about it. And so you have those people that you make sure you get back to. And you say, hey, you said you were going to vote, But right, so that's something that brought back.
Do that because in a certain constituency, maybe I'm going to throw it out to all. You don't have a vote because the vote for you already.
Well, and that's the thing to what he's saying, right? You need the data collection and the metrics to be able to truly assign as to who is coming out to vote, who really has voted, right? Like those are the electronic pieces that we definitely have to build into Jamaica to get rid of the corruption and make sure that it is one vote exactly that takes place for those that are casting it. I would agree with Chris for the Canada needs to have the excitement. Like even if you look at going back to even Jug Me, when Jug Me first came out and he started to play Calypso at his rallies, you saw how that just hyped up everybody, right? And he got that little bit of extra swag because it was a matter if you had a politician that stepped outside of his own ethnicity in the sense of even reaching out and when it was delivering and using music to be that connector to go above and beyond, right? So we need to do a lot more of that, and I think it would be great because we're very stuffy. When you look at our politics and what is done, it's very stuffy, the little speech and that. So if we change that and Jamaica incorporated the data collection metrics of being able to have the integrity of the vote, it would really be fantastic. So there's good and bad in both. But I'm going to trouble Chris and say, but you guys need to work on how Lisa and I can just get with from no, but
yeah, I gotta take him on for that. But and a film constituency.
I know. So I got trouble him.
Listen, you use the word integrity, and I think Bobby, you're talking about garrison. From both of you, how did we get to garrisons in Jamaica? Why don't we have garrisons in Canada?
But it's about socioeconomics. Right. So one thing about Canada, that's why it's so expensive to live in Canada, is because of the social networks that are here. Right. So even if you lose your job, whichever, you have social assistance and EI that could potentially buffer you for a little bit until you get to the next place. Like it's now kind of been reduced even more. We do have a lot of people under the poverty line, but we at least have that. Whereas Jamaica, there is nothing like that set up. Right. So you have so many people for decades. It's generational poverty. Right, where it is a continual cycle of where the government has not done its part to ensure that, you know, we have proper roads, the infrastructure is there, the access to transportation, and get you to the different areas where you have, you know, employment opportunities and making it easier for the access. We don't have it. So you're going to have garrisons, and then you're going to have those who are going to be able to have more access, be able to do things, and be able to take advantage of the poor. Right. And that's what we have. People take advantage of the poor. If you have no food and a politician is rolling through the road and flinging out little money, or saying, you know, calling over some of the people that they know are the street young men that don't have education and don't have employment, and saying, let me give you a couple dollars and go out and do this or go out and do that. Well, for them, that is their you know, means to having a meal and being able to take care of themselves for that time period. So it leads to either, you know, illegal activity or aids to the corruption that's happening. And that's how we have the garrisons. When people continue to keep you impoverished, how do you elevate?
Chris, what's your take? What keeps the garrisons going?
Well, like my friend Yvette said, just the provisions, and you just need to know what is needed. What I know the PNP has been doing, the People's National Party has been doing, is that we have been going into, you know, like PJ Patterson. PJ Patterson wrote the roles and the responsibilities of councillors. And so what we do, and this is kind of, you know, Canada kind of politics, where we go through our groups, because we have groups, we go through our groups and we talk to them, and you tell them about, this is what we were doing, this is what we're doing, and this is what we want to achieve. And for some communities, it's a reality. For example, one of our roles, a part of our roles and responsibilities, is to collaborate with community-based organization and non-government organization. And it's a requirement that you get registered with the Department of Corporate and Friendly Societies in order to be certified as a group to tap into these agencies, right? And these agencies are multi-billion-dollar agencies. But so the work is kind of left on the politicians and, you know, the group of them that they're focused on policies and bringing programs to reality. So we use that to say here, well, we need to win this. So in the onset, they're not seeing that. They just see that we come into the communities and we say, hey, what do you want? I mean, you got to go and vote. And what we're seeing now is a suppression of the votes. And that's another aspect of, you know, keeping the place straight PNP or straight Labour, right, where you go in and say, hey, I know that you don't love the PNP. No, I don't. I know you don't love the PNP, but here what? Don't go out and vote. Or I know that you are not going to vote for me because you don't support Jamaica Labour Party. But here what? On election day, just don't go. Just don't go. So the JLP does that for their benefit, for Garrison's sake, and the PNP. Everybody
don't do it, Chris.
It's both sides.
Everybody don't do it. Okay.
The last election showed it that the PNP did not embark on vote suppression. We are actually telling people to go down.
Never run.
It's never enough. It's never enough. Whether it's running or not, it's never. Somebody will come and say, "Hey, $10," and somebody come and give you $10.50. Hey, I'm gone with a 50 cents difference, right? So, you know,
that's a part of the mentality. And I go and talk a little bit about the culture, because it's not part of the mentality. I have heard, I don't know, because I've never seen it, that people are also getting so trickified. Them take money from both sides now. That the corruption is spread all across. So if you bring 100, them take your 100, but the next man bring 1,000, them take the 1,000 as well. So them get $1,100 and possibly don't vote for either one.
And that happens here in Canada too. Canada has become very,
Yeah.
very sophisticated with regards to a lot of our racialized communities knowing very well that some of the politicians require that vote, right? They need that vote. So you have certain individuals who know to be the so-called in between or the emissary between the parties, and yet they're working from all sides. You want to be able to have a community meeting, or you potentially would like to have our vote or our say, and they are collecting money. So it's not just in Jamaica that this is happening. It's happening in many areas, the United States, England. It happens everywhere, right? It's just a matter of really calling it out and what's happening. And the problem with Jamaica, though, is the fact that it impacts all citizens. Because if you don't have people in power that are truly looking about elevating us, it's not benefiting anybody. Right? Because then the few that receive some dollars, if your area in which you live still doesn't have sewer, lighted, water, right? The proper plumbing going through, how does that benefit you? A dollar that only comes for a day can only stretch for so long. Whereas if you really invest, you have it for a lifetime, right? For generations to come. So we got to start thinking of our psyche and not just about our selfishness, but for the greater good of what people are doing as our representatives. Because you got to hold them to account. Accountability and integrity are missing right now in politics.
And that's an interesting point, Yvette, and I want to use that as a segue to say, has the electorate become apathetic to the politics to the extent where they're not inclined to spend time investing in trying to hold the representatives accountable? And therefore, in some cases, almost like some of them get a free ride, or they know that there's this apathy. Chris, like, what do you see when you're on the road? What are some of the things that you think people are feeling about the politics?
I think that the feeling out there is that who is going to come and save us? Yeah, who's going to come save us? And what we say in our campaign, some of the programs that we can take on as candidates, council candidates and opposition, they are looking. One of the things that I've said in one of our meetings is that we need to start reaching out, because Jamaican politics is not one of those that, especially deep rural politics, is not one of those that would reach out to the teachers and the nurses, those that are, above the educational strata, right? To say, hey, be a part of this, because it challenges, sometimes it challenge the candidate, because the candidate says, I just want to win, and that's it. And so we think that once we are able to tap into that aspect of it, they will say to us, and it's like, how can you go into a community, a city, and try to conquer that city without talking to the influential, right? And so we see that to drive some of the programs that we have, it's going to be just, a change to say, we're going to try to get some of these people, the pastors on board, the people that people look and say, hey, these guys are.
But after all the years, and we're still a young country. It's only 60 years old of political independence, right? But for the experiences that people have had over the last, 30, 40 years, aren't some of them looking on and said, there was a time when I was really interested and I thought there was hope. But I'm just try to get something out right now. Isn't that?
Yes.
What's your take?
Well,
to a certain extent.
I'm going to keep repeating it. The apathy is going to exist. So you think about people that are in St. Thomas. So if I was gun-ho in my previous 20 years prior, I'm in my 20s and I was involved in politics. I was told that, yes, we're going to get proper infrastructure. We're going to have better teachers and we're going to have better schools built and all of that. And here we are 20 years later and there's still nothing, right? Why would you trust your politician? Doesn't matter which political stripe. The point is that it has not manifested. So therefore, I believe that it's lies. I believe that my area is not of interest. It's not of concern because I'm not in the populace, right? So if you're not in Kingston, if you're not in St. Anne's, and right now, if you're in Mandeville, like when you think about where the money is, right? So you think where the money lies is where in Jamaica. Like why is Portland have the best road? Why is that you're coming on and you reach Portland border, boom, road smooth. Right? Like you have to think about those disparities that are being put forward. People look at it to say, well, watch out, I'm nobody. So why am I going to sit there and vote for you? You're a liar too. Everybody's a liar. So that becomes the stretch, which unfortunately isn't good, because you have people with integrity that really want to put their name forward, but then they also take on the negativity, right? Because it's like, I'm automatically being labeled for something that someone else has done, and I'm not going to be given that latitude to be able to really show the difference, right? And then again, your party leaders, what have they done? Who's been the minister? What have the ministers embroiled in? What are people have themselves caught up in? So it plays a large role in a large swath. Like, I would love to see in Jamaica where we had an even distribution of the seats, where both parties have to work together. You're forced to have to work together. Right, where one minister must have a deputy minister from the next party, and just keep changing. So you have to work with each other to bring about the change, because I don't understand why it is. And again, I'll keep saying it. Why does Jamaica still not have running water and sewers in every single parish? Right? Why doesn't every household have it? Whether you have clapboard or whichever, why isn't there a standpipe close by that at least people can bathe? Because if you don't have proper hot water and running water and sewers, then hygiene creates a greater issue and effect with regards to health, right? And then from health, you're looking at the mental health and other things that just keep on parlaying.
Just cycle on.
That's
all
right.
Listen,
well,
you brought up something about the leaders, and the clock is ticking, and I want to cover a few more questions.
All
right. We've had some influential political leaders. That's the word I'm going to use. Manley, Siaga, Shearer, Simpson Miller, PJ. What's the legacy of these leaders, and how does that influence today's politics? And the same thing in Canada. The Trudeaus, the Chrétien, how does it influence the way people look at the politics today?
Do you want to go first?
I think, and you just said, right, like I was saying it, what we have done over the time is that we have not been practicing the foundation of the politics, which these guys said. They would talk to the teachers, they would talk to the nurses, they would be, that's how the Nurses Association came about, because they wanted audience. The Police Federation, all of these guys, they came about. And you mentioned Michael Manley said, listen me, we're not going to be just walking and going about doing business like everybody else. We're going to be a different set of people. When he went over to Cuba, to Castro, to say, hey, I want to learn what you're doing, and so we can bring it, to here. And when he came here in the 80s, it was that, hey, Jamaica is going communist, and people saying, oh, we're not going to get to do this. And because the message was not shared the way it was, it was understood, people thought more or less that, PNP is coming to, be the worst government. And then we, after a number of years, we are saying, oh my God, this is what communist means, So I think that we have not been following up with the leaders and like I said earlier, getting back with meetings with the teachers, the nurses. My wife, she works in the health sector, and I'm saying, hey, I want to meet with the guys. I want to meet with your co-workers. We want to talk. It's not typical of a Jamaican politician, especially when you're a candidate, to say you want to meet with government employees. But this is one of the ways you're saying, hey, you guys are the influential of the division and the constituency. So when we say we're going to give running water, you will know if we're talking foolishness or based on, and the questions you're going to ask us too is going to say, oh, I need to go back to the drawing board,
Or maybe they believe those guys and those guys did something and the legacy hasn't necessarily passed down. I don't know if Father Trudeau has necessarily passed down to son Trudeau, Yvette, like the legacy of it for Canadians. Yeah. When I came here, many people still had the feeling that, the senior Trudeau was the best thing ever for immigrants. Right?
Yeah, right. 1982, the whole push for the individual rights, right? When he was saying that for the individuals, that we have to ensure we look out for individuals because a collective rights would not be good. Remember that whole fight and push and why the charter came into play and that. And, and that's the thing. People thought when they saw Justin with his charismatic, or what people thought was his charismatic framework and his looks, right, turned out to be a dud. He's not his father. He does not have the sensibilities of his fathers. He does not have that aspect of having that international je ne sais quoi, to be able to go to other leaders and really build, because again, it's that external look he has, but once you get to the depth of him, it's really shallow, right? He doesn't have a lot of substance, and he doesn't follow through on what he's put forward. I believe the leaders that have come forward, for the most part, we have strong leaders, whether federally or provincially. We do have individuals that academically are very astute, individuals who have gone from different areas to build those relationships that are required. Like I say to this day, Bob Ray was seriously undermined with regards to what he was trying. We think about provincially, because he was looking at what was happening in Saskatchewan. Both had major debts. He said to people, for 12 days, just let us take a pay cut, so that way we can make sure everyone can sustain in this deficit we had. And people lost their mind. It came to the selfishness, and then then you had the next government come in and just Harris decimated everything, right? A lot of government officials lost their jobs that they're mainly asking for. And I would say the same with Jamaica. I would say any of our leaders in Jamaica, when you think academically astute, right, and the business acumen that they have in the sense of what they brought, they could be on any international stage, running any G8 country. I say that without fail. Our problem is, and it comes down to both sides, it's somewhere there's some type of a deficit switch that is just not clicking in properly, that everyone goes into a selfish mindset, and then they only look to whomever is going to give them the most prop, or who they think is going to keep them back in power. Because everyone's always thinking about, because once power corrupts, what's the word? Power corrupts absolutely, right? So once they attain the seat, they forget about what was their main base for why they came in, right? So they therefore only work towards that niche group and forget about the rest. And then it comes, election time. Here comes the lie, and let's pull out back our bag of tricks, and let's take everything off, right? And then try to pretty it back up again. So that's our problem. Our problem is individuals get caught up into power. They're looking to extend in their seat and that reign of power that they have, and they forget about the work that they really have to do. But then you have some politicians, though, who are doing excellent work, right? Who are in the trenches. You see them every day in their constituency, helping out the needy or the poor, or people with passport issues, or people with housing issues, or working with the international NGOs, right? The non-governmental agencies, to make sure they hold them to account, that they're not doing, circumventing the rules or absconding with any type of extra funds or whatever is required to aid. And those are the people we have to prop up. Like, it would also be great if a report card, a check report card was done. Who are the who are the MPs? What have they been doing from what they haven't been doing? We get some running report cards.
Because I know in Jamaica, for example, they have the Integrity Commission, and they have reports that they all need to file. But, and I have to look at the clock, we're almost done here. Politics is about power. At the end of the day, isn't that what drives all the politicians, Chris? Isn't that what drives the politicians? If you win in the next local government elections, you want to stay in that chair for as long as you can. Isn't that what it's all about? Right. Which is really core to what we suffer.
I don't want to say all about, because I believe that a team is as great as its leader, and so is the leader as a team. And I sincerely believe that the people ought to be given the opportunity to make a choice. And they make a choice, based on the representation that they're getting. And you teach them. This is what I get in trouble for this, because I teach them about representation. What is it that you're supposed to be expecting? We have groups. Groups are what keeps our divisions and our constituencies and regions, we say recognized. So once you're recognized division or constituency, you have rights and privileges to the party. But you have that through meeting with your groups, right? A group of 10 delegates, 10 members get one delegate, and those are the persons that vote for the leader. But we go around, and the same political work program we get as divisional leaders, constituency MPs, regional leaders, and the party leaders, same thing we get as group. So I am allotted 27 groups because I have 27 PDs. So if I'm able to reach out to 10 people per PD, and to kind of do a political education, it makes it good, because I think people are tired, and that's one of the reasons why they're kind of, not voting. They're oh my God, what next? And everybody coming.
Them tired of the non-performance, and them tired of what started off looking good turning out to be just
Right.
like the one before. Is not as we go through, people cycle
Yeah.
through and feel like we're all going to end up in the same place.
Yeah.
Is not
Yeah.
part of it?
Yeah. That's
But
part of it. Like
hear me as we wrap up, though. Hear me as we wrap
Mm.
up, because this one could go on forever. We have
Yeah.
no choice but to have politicians, right? Somebody
Yes.
has to be there. How do we, and this might be philosophical, both for Canada and Jamaica, what are some of the things that we can do to get the best people in the chairs? Yvette.
I say look at the actions of those who are running. Do a deep dive for the people, not just about their so-called CV that you just see. I'm a doctor this, I'm a PhD or a master, whatever. No. Look at what they've literally have done. Have they put boots to the ground? Have they been in their community and really serving people, or being at city council or at trustee meetings or whatever the case might be, where their voices have been heard and they've been there? Then you know that those are really grassroots individuals, people who really were looking at policy, people that were really trying to have a real sense of what's happening. I would take those over the academics in that case scenario. Look to the people really doing the work, and not saying the academics are, because if those academics that have been doing the work, then also, but I don't want the so-called silver spoon child, because you've been living a privileged lifestyle your whole life. You don't know what it is to be poor. You don't know what it is to be an underfunded school. You don't know what it is to have a neighborhood be short of lights and all of these other things, or to have jobs readily paying at the right living wage that they should have. So those would be the individuals we really have to start looking for to run for the positions, because they have a true sense of what it is. And then again, put in the accountabilities, the accountability mechanisms required to make sure pay and allotment of funds and the divestiture of funds are going to the right places.
Chris, you get the last word. How we get the right people in the politics?
I think education. I think we need to have a group of people that is non-partisan, educating people about when you say you're going to be running, or you're a member of parliament or councillor, what is it that you're supposed to do? Like Yvette said, attend your meetings, make a presentation on community needs, speak up, talk to the people, because that's one thing politicians lack, is a communication with the people. Most times we go to meetings, we just talk, and we give no time for them to talk. And so when we go, we are always saying this is what we're going to do, and we make it sound so good. So I think that what we need to go back to is, getting a group of people to say, hey, Chris say he's running. We're gonna do a little interview with him. What do you say? And you do an interview and you check on, just like you say, have a check card and say, what is it that you're gonna do? Or even before I want to run, and my name comes up somewhere, why do you want to run? Why should we? And these are some of the hard questions some of these politicians have to answer. Right? Why do you want to run? What are you gonna do? And we use that to judge you. And so, because I'm not so old, I'm not so young, and I still have a lot of hope in Jamaica. I still have a lot of hope in politics, because I don't like when, whether it's in Canada and Jamaica, people are abstaining from voting. No, it's not a good sign.
Well, we'll always have the politicians. No, we have no choice, right? Death and taxes and politicians, I suppose, is one of those things that we have to live with. Listen, the clock has ticked to where we have to go. Yvette, Blackburn, Chris French, thank you so much for joining us here on A Time to Reason and Gwaan. Keep doing what you guys are doing, because it's very important. All right?
Thank you, and best of luck, Chris.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's up, Jenny?
Wow.
All right, trust me, that one is long.
But it was so good. It was lively. It was very informative. And to be honest, I really don't know much about Canadian politics, but I got a good base now. And comparing the two and seeing the possibilities in both Canada and more so in Jamaica.
I gotta get the pot cover. I mean, one of the things I found interesting with Canadian politics is it will be election day and nobody will know.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. it just happens and fits into everything else. People who go to the polls, do their thing, but it not stop life around it. And the campaigns are very, I'm going to call it decent. Every now and then there's a little splash here and there, but nothing material. No pot cover and nobody hang out on a bus. And no rallies that have the megaphone thing on the car top where people are right on, and they don't have no music, they don't have no song, they don't have no song. In fact, I think one of the things is we look back, for those of us who go back way into the 80s and the excitement of that politics, 100,000 strong can't be wrong statements that resonate for years, right? I don't get that in the Canadian politics, but we're always going to have them.
Yes,
and
we are.
Need them around. And if there's one thing I encourage anybody who is watching, if you're still up and about and can do it, get involved. Even myself,
Yes.
I think people keep saying, boy, you have to get involved, because
I agree.
You can't sit on the outside.
No.
And just complain about it.
No.
All right, listen, this has been a long one, so I'm going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And leave it for your thing, and then next week we'll talk maybe a little bit more. All right?
Yes.
All right, take it easy.
Take it easy. All right, so let us just do a quick shout out before I go to the Patois word of the day. Bob Arthurs, thank you so much. I see you reaching out to Mr. French. I see you talking about, the corruption also is in Canada. And you touch on a very sensitive topic. Politics and religions are two evils of society. That is a discussion all in and of itself. Lilith Morehouse. Hi, good evening and blessing. Thank you so much for being there with us. And Garfield Morgan Artist, he went straight ahead into a sentence and just mix up and blend everything. Garfield says, politicians are a very trickify bunch of people. Trickify, Patois word of the day. Cunning, Trickify, cunning. Thank you so very much, Garfield, for that. You really just tie it all in. And now, answer to this. Spot the place. We gave you all the clues. And the place is the CN Tower in Toronto. Yes, that is, I've not been there yet. It is definitely on my list of things to do as we travel across Canada. And it should be yours as well if you haven't gone. And send us some pictures if you have, for us to see, or even tell us what was your visit like. We love to hear from you. So next week, we're looking forward to having a discussion about 60 years ago. Again, talking about Jamaica independence. What next for Jamaica? With Nelia Gordon, the CCO, and Matthew Parchment. 60 years old. What next for Jamaica? So if you think today was red hot conversation, next week, fire, blazing, be there. Come and join us. We really want to have this one going. We are continue to look for our marketing coordinator and content creator on a volunteer basis to join our Gwaan National team. This is a phenomenal opportunity to hone your communication, creative, and marketing skills, and to work and receive mentorship with a team of professionals located across Canada. Students, come on, you are welcome to sending your application. You must have at least 1 year experience working in marketing or social media space, have experience creating marketing or social media campaigns, must be familiar with the Jamaican Caribbean culture, come and be a part of a vibrant team of people who are all passionate about sharing all aspects of our beautiful, lovely Jamaican culture with the world. So send your resume to us via our social media accounts or email watagwancnd@gmail.com. Send us your videos, Watagwan, so we can add it to the show. Check out our website, www.watagwan.ca. Send us an email. We have a plethora of social media. Contact us, link us up. We want to hear from you. This is a family, and we're so grateful to have you. Again, thank you so much for joining us for another exciting episode of What a Gwaan. Wishing you a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend, and I encourage you, make it a habit to always give thanks. We have so much to be grateful for, and giving thanks is free, natural medicine for the whole away. Anti-aging, gratitude. In a buckle, you have it. There it is. So see you next week. Walk good.